All right, let's get right into it. If you're building anything with AI, you've probably had to choose between two of the biggest names in serverless GPUs, fal.ai and Replicate. But this isn't just a simple feature comparison. It's really about a fundamental problem with economics and user experience that can literally make or break your app. We're talking about the economics of the cold start. And this quote just absolutely nails it. This is the whole ballgame right here. Think about it. When your user clicks generate, every single millisecond that ticks by is another reason for them to just get frustrated, close the tab, and maybe never come back. For apps that create images or videos, that first impression is, well, it's everything. So let's talk about this user retention killer. It all boils down to that painful, agonizing wait your user has to go through when they're expecting something to happen instantly. I mean, we live in a world of instant gratification, right? That little loading spinner, it is the enemy of your app's growth. So what's actually happening here? Well, the technical term for this delay is a cold start. The easiest way to think about it is like this. If a model hasn't been used for a bit, the system puts it away to save resources. When a new user shows up, the system has to scramble to find that model, fire up a container for it, and then load these massive files, we're talking gigabytes of data, onto a GPU. Only then can it even start thinking about the user's request. That whole setup process, that's the cold start. And it's a direct punch to your user's experience. This brings us to the one metric that developers in this space are completely obsessed with, TTFI. That's time to first inference. It's the simple, brutal measurement of how long it takes from the moment your user clicks the button to the moment they see the very first sign of life, the first pixel of an image, the first word of text. This is the tangible measure of how responsive your app feels, and it's the battleground where these platforms are fighting it out. And this is where you, the developer, face a classic dilemma. On one side, you can keep warm. This means you're basically paying to have a GPU running 24/7 with your model already loaded, just waiting. The response is instant, which is amazing, but the cost of that thing sitting idle can be absolutely brutal on your wallet. On the other side, you have the pure pay-per-use model. You pay nothing when it's idle, fantastic for your budget, but you always risk that dreaded cold start latency. It's a constant trade-off between your cash and your user's patience. So let's see how our first contender, Replicate, handles this. Replicate is huge. It's known everywhere as this massive community hub. You could call it the easy button for getting started in AI development because it's all about accessibility and having this gigantic library of models at your fingertips. Replicate's real power is its ecosystem. They have an unbelievable library of models that the community has built. You can run thousands of them right there on the website, sometimes without writing a single line of code. They've also got tools for easy fine-tuning and a super simple API. It is, without a doubt, a fantastic platform for building prototypes and just exploring what's even possible with AI. And this quote from their team really tells you everything you need to know about their philosophy. Replicate's whole identity is wrapped up in this vibrant community of indie hackers and builders that they've empowered. They really thrive on that creative energy. But here's the catch. This brings us right back to that developer's dilemma. If you want to guarantee your app is super snappy on Replicate, you pretty much have to use that keep warm strategy. You deploy your model on dedicated hardware and you pay an hourly rate whether that GPU is busy or just sitting there doing nothing. And as you can see, for a top-of-the-line H100 GPU, that's almost $5.50 an hour, every hour. That adds up really, really fast. So that's one approach. Keep the meter running to prioritize speed. But what if you could have those pay-per-use savings without the terrible latency? Well, that brings us to our second platform, fal.ai. Fal comes onto the scene positioned as a pure speed demon, a platform built from the ground up to attack the cold start problem head-on. This line from their docs is their entire promise in a nutshell. The whole idea is to completely eliminate that trade-off. They want to give you the power of a massive GPU cluster, but without making you pay for it when you're not using it, and without making your users wait. The goal is to scale from zero to huge, instantly. So how do they do it? Well, the core is a true pay-per-use model where you only get billed for the actual milliseconds of compute time you use. But beyond that, their whole infrastructure is heavily optimized for generating media, like images and audio. They give you access to the latest and greatest GPUs, and it's all designed to wake up and get to work as fast as humanly possible. And this chart just makes the difference in their pricing philosophy crystal clear. When you look at the raw hourly cost for that same dedicated H100 GPU, fal.ai comes in dramatically lower. This isn't just about being a little cheaper. This is an aggressive, direct challenge to that whole keep warm cost structure.
They're trying to change the economics of the game.
Okay, so after seeing all that, you might be thinking, well, one of these is obviously better than the other. But really, it's not about finding a single winner. The smart choice completely depends on your project, your goals, and where you are in your journey. So let's build a little framework for how to decide.
This is the big question every single developer has to answer for themselves. And remember, you're not just picking a service off a menu. You're choosing an infrastructure partner that needs to align with your app's goals, from the very first prototype all the way to massive scale. This little guide should help break it down. Look, for prototyping, just exploring ideas or building hobby projects, Replicate is absolutely excellent. That huge model library is just unbeatable for getting ideas off the ground fast. But the second you start thinking about a production app, especially one with unpredictable, spiky traffic, that's where fal.ai's architecture really begins to shine. Their model means you're not burning cache during the quiet times, making it perfect for cost-sensitive apps that need to scale efficiently. So the big takeaway here is pretty simple. You have to match your infrastructure to your reality. Are you building something that's going to have huge bursts of traffic and then long quiet periods? Are you focused on exploring as fast as possible right now, or are you trying to optimize every penny for when you go live? Your answers to those questions are what will point you to the right platform. And that brings me to one last thing to think about. As the AI models themselves get exponentially faster, the bottleneck starts to shift. It's not about the model's raw speed anymore. It's about the infrastructure's ability to deliver that power to the user instantly. And in that future, you have to wonder, will the cost of the GPU become way less important than the cost you pay in lost users every single time you make them wait?